A huge shout out to VR Wave for sponsoring and supporting this channel. They do produce the best lens inserts that I've come across for a full range of VR headsets that include HTC, of course Pimax, which you're looking at right now, as well as the Quest, Valve, PSVR 2, you get the idea. And the great thing about lens inserts is they help keep your lenses free from scratches, but also they do account for astigmatism if you're nearsighted or farsighted. And with blue light filters, they also help combat motion sickness and insomnia. So make sure to check out my 5% discount in the description below. It's time to settle this because things are hotting up in the Micro OLED VR headset sector. We've got a full range now of amazing VR headsets, and in this video I'm going to focus on the comparisons between the Dream Air and the Meganex Superlight 8K, particularly the Mark II variant as well, which is their latest release, which should be hopefully shipping by April. Now, the eagle-eyed viewer might have seen a Big Screen Beyond version 2 in that list as well. If you're interested, I can also do a comparison against this headset. But for today, let's focus on the Dream Air and Meganex. Starting with the Dream Air. This is Pimax's latest flagship small form factor high resolution micro OLED headset. I'm not going to bore you too much with the specs because I've done it loads of times now, but in essence it has a dual micro OLED panel with a resolution of 3840 by 3552 pixels per eye, totaling at around 27 million pixels, which is insane. It has a refresh rate of 90 and 72 Hz. And in terms of the field of view, that will be part of this review, and I'll tell you my actual measurements. Now, it must be said, these Sony 4K Micro OLED displays are absolutely stunning, and paired with pancake lenses with concave view optics, it does win this particular part of the comparison against the Meganex. Having said that though, the Meganex has a BOE style micro OLED panel with a similar resolution at 3552 by 3840 pixels per eye, again with 27 million pixels. The refresh rates are a bit more variable, I think, 90 Hz, 72 and 75 if I remember. Now the optics here, well, they're still actually pretty good, but they don't compare against the Dream Air. So let's just not muck around here. In terms of the optical stack, the Dream Air wins. And that's mainly in terms of the edge-to-edge clarity within the sweet spot, the Dream Air wins. In terms of the warping profile, the Dream Air also wins. And it must be said, in terms of that panel, the Dream Air also edges it. I mean, it's very close, admittedly, but when you're absolutely like the most pickiest VR person in the world like me, you do notice that that Sony 4K Micro OLED just has the edge when it comes to the lack of any interference in that panel, especially when looking at a blue sky. The Meganex can suffer with a sort of mirror effect. I'm not sure if it is mirror or not, because technically I don't think micro OLED headsets should suffer from it, but I have noticed, because I have tried a few different Meganexes now, that some of them do vary with their panel. But with the Dream Air, I have tried 5 OLED panels now, both with the Super and Dream Air, and they all are exactly the same. The tolerances between these displays is fantastic, and I've never seen it quite like this before. I've tested VR headsets for many years, and often I get different variations of the same headset with the same panel, which gives me a good idea of what to expect when they send them out in batches. And often I will see variations in their displays. But with the Super OLED and Dream Air, which has the same optical stack and panel, they are absolutely exactly the same. So I'm hoping that won't be an issue for Pimax in terms of the quality control of that display, because it is the best of the best, and it even beats the Meganex. Now let's talk about comfort, because it's fantastic that Pimax have finally realised that the small form factor is what we actually want now, and it is the future for VR. I mean, check this out, the Crystal Light versus the Dream Air. It's just hilarious. It looks like a massive toaster compared to the Dream Air, and honestly I do feel it makes it look very last gen. When it comes to comfort right now, in my opinion, the Dream Air really falls down hard actually, especially with their facial interface, but I'm glad to say it's not final. So really, this is a tricky one to kind of pin down, and maybe I will pin a comment in the top of the comment section once that has been rectified. But for now, it really is a massive hammer blow to the Dream Air. The Meganex is sensationally comfortable, and to be honest, I don't think, I'm going to say this now folks, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, I'd love to be proven wrong, but I don't think the Dream Air is ever going to be as comfortable as the Meganex, especially with the shift all hard strap. Not to mention the fact you can flip up the headset so easily. I love that feature. I know it sounds silly to mention, but trust me, that flip up mechanism is a game changer, because you can flip it up, have a cup of tea, check your controls, say hello to the dog, cat, wife, whatever you want to do. Just take a break for a few minutes without having to take the headset off completely. It really is a wonderful design, and together with the insane comfort, I can't say this enough folks, there's just no pressure points. It's perfect on the face, on the head, and I can wear this for a full day, and I have. And in this day and age, I'm getting old now folks, and I don't really like to be in VR as much as I used to be. With a Meganex, it's a different story. I can be in this all day, no problems at all. Much like the Big Screen Beyond version 2 with the Studio Form kit. But the incredible thing here is the Meganex doesn't really need any Studio Form accessories, apart from perhaps the facial interface itself, because it does maybe just show a little bit of a line on your face after a long session, but you don't feel that at all when you're in the headset. So yeah, pretty easy win there for the Meganex. And it's fair to say it is fighting back against the Dream Air. And when I talk about the image quality, please bear in mind the Meganex looks absolutely stunning. It's 4K Micro OLED and really is the best. I'm only being very picky here when it comes to really comparing the panels. The Sony 4K does win, it absolutely does, but it is a close one. And if you were a Meganex owner, I personally don't think it's worth upgrading to the Dream Air unless you want eye tracking. This is a big one, and probably one of the biggest differences of the headsets is the Dream Air has Tobii eye tracking, and to be fair, it works really well. Credit to Pimax, they have absolutely nailed it, and sims like MSFS 2024, DCS World, it just works perfectly. You don't have to mess around with it. It remembers your calibration. It's even better personally than the Somnium VR1 eye tracking, simply because you don't have to keep messing around calibrating it. It remembers it. You don't have to think about it. You just literally turn the headset on, switch on your sim, and you have eye tracking, and it's dynamic foveated rendering. Job done, no messing around. The Meganex, however, does fight back a little bit here because it has better reprojection, and that's thanks again to the community driver from SBoy3. The smart smoothing, well, it means you can actually enjoy the Meganex with something like a 4070 Ti card, which I have shown on the channel before, because you only need around 36 frames per second reprojected, or even lower than that depending on your refresh rate. You don't have to have 90 Hz, but 90 Hz, as you can see here, locked at 45 frames per second, even with a 4090 or 5090, it is very smooth. And yes, there is some artifacts, that's the nature of reprojection, but it does mean that eye tracking isn't so much of a deal breaker when you have really great reprojection. Now, Pimax's smart smoothing is getting better, but it doesn't match up against the Meganex in this case. But of course, if you want eye tracking to be a cat in VR chat, then, well, that's something beyond the scope of this particular video. This is a flight sim channel, but if you're bothered about people seeing you blinking, winking and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, obviously the Dream Air wins on that one, because you won't be able to do that in the Meganex. It does not have eye tracking. In terms of resolutions and performance, they're very similar. I do feel though that the Meganex edges it, which is a surprise, especially as it uses Steam VR. I think some of that though is the render target, which, you know, isn't really something I can put a pin on, because it all depends on your system. With the Meganex, I tend to drive it quite high, up to even 6000 per eye resolution, and I still find it works really well because of that reprojection. With the Dream Air, well, I tend to use it at about 1.2 super sampling, which gives me around 5500 per eye, and sharpness wise, they're both very sharp, but performance wise, I've got to say the Meganex does slightly win over. Now let's talk about field of view figures. This is a surprise to me because again, with the community driver from Shiftall, you could feasibly get around 115, 116 degrees horizontal field of view with a better binocular overlap than the Dream Air. However, in reality, I don't know about you folks, but I don't squish the headset to my eyeballs. It's just not very comfortable. So these figures I'm going to show you now is how I wear the headsets in a comfortable position so I can at least wear them for hours and hours on end, because otherwise it's just very uncomfortable and I don't like feeling really squished in a headset. So the Meganex, well, with the actual main Shiftall driver, it's quite lackluster. But with the S-Boy 3 modification, this is what I'm getting. 107 degrees horizontal versus 102 vertical. And the overlap is also very, very nice and feels really good on the eyes. This particular combination for me is better than maxing out that binocular overlap just for a few more degrees. It's one of those things that after a while you will notice eye strain, absolutely, and it doesn't come on straight away. It's a tricky thing to get right. So I would recommend personally to go for a better binocular overlap and less field of view. This is the Dream Air. I'm getting 108 degrees horizontal and 89 vertical. So with these particular profiles, because obviously things are going to change with the Dream Air, but this is my personal favourite anyway, really. This is the one I'm going to use all the time. I personally feel that the Meganex just edges it out a little bit with the field of view, but it's not a massive amount, folks. It really isn't. We're kind of splitting hairs here. They're both very similar, but that's, again, thanks to the S-Boy 3 driver. Let's now talk about build quality. This is something that's really important in my opinion, especially if you're investing in a headset that is over £2,000. And in terms of price, they are very similar. And in this case, the Meganex wins because the build quality of the Dream Air, in my opinion, is subpar in some places, especially with the front of the housing, which we were led to believe was going to be an aluminium casing, which it should really be for this type of price, but it is actually just plastic. Clearly, Pimax must have had an internal discussion about this, and to be fair, if you think about how much the headset costs versus those displays, I can understand the reasoning, but it is a great shame because the headset is so nice and looks so great and feels great overall. It would have been the icing on the cake to have that aluminium housing, very much like the Playford Dream. The result is, unfortunately, it does feel quite cheap and plasticky in places. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to break or anything so long as you look after it, but I do find it strange, especially when you look at the arms of the headset, which has some nice metal accents, especially where the Pimax logo is. It would have really just made a big difference to the feeling of the headset. The Meganex isn't perfect either, especially the Mark I. The L-shape adapter has been known to fail, as well as the link box as well. I'm glad to say though that the Mark II has improved on these areas. You can, by the way, upgrade your Mark I to the Mark II for a nominal price. I think it's around £350 or so. And if you want to use my affiliate link, feel free. That's for both the Dream Air and Meganex, if you find this content really useful. Because let me tell you, I spend far too long of my free time making this content. And I sometimes ask myself, should I be doing this? So let's just finish with the companies themselves. It must be said that Pimax are quite an elusive company, and in terms of their build quality, it is getting better, but when making these in batches, issues start to creep in. Although they do have a returns policy. With Shiftall, when you buy the headset, you are buying the headset. There's no way of returning it unless it's faulty. So please do bear that in mind. It is a great shame that they haven't changed this policy yet, but keep putting pressure on them in the comments. You never know, they could re-look at this at a later date. But again, I will reiterate the fact that if you buy the Meganex, you cannot return it if you don't like it. You can do that with the Dream Air. Before I forget, in terms of tracking, they both use Lighthouse tracking. That's important. I mean, personally for me, I absolutely prefer it because it never loses tracking. It's great, especially at night time when you're looking down at the console of your aircraft or looking around, looking behind you. 2 base stations is all you need, and it's really nice, perfect tracking. But admittedly, that is more cost, and if that's a deal breaker for you, there is an inside-out tracking version coming soon, although that is more money anyway, or you could go the Super OLED route. But again, you're talking of a headset that's a lot larger. Now, talking of deal breakers, there is one more major difference between them that I can think of right now, and that is the Meganex only has NVIDIA GPU support, whether the Dream Air has both NVIDIA and AMD GPU support. Now, I could keep going on with different things, but I think that's the major points made here. Both headsets are absolutely at the top of their game, and so far are really the best of the best. The 4K Micro OLED form factors of these headsets are absolutely sensational. I'd love to know which one you would buy in the comments below. If you do want to support the channel, I do have links in the notes below, including a discount for the Dream Air. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.